So this morning we will be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Nuttanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiyayat Naspesya Bhadesu Nityam Bhagavatasevayam Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavatanastike Taseva Heto Payate Takovido Na Lapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Dukavat Anyata Sukam Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa Tasheva Heto Payate Takovido Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Dukava Anyata Sukam Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa Tasheva Heto Payate Takovido Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Dukava Anyata Sukam Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa
Tasaiva hetu prayatita kovida.
Tasaiva hetu prayate takovido Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Dukava Anyate Sukam Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa Tasaiva hetu prayate takovido Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Dukava Anyata Sukam Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa Tasaiva hetu prayate takovido Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayata Talapyate Sukam Karlena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa. Tasheva Heta Payate Takovido. Talapyate Yat Pamatam Yupayada. Talapyate Dukavat Anyata Sukham. Karlena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa. Tasheva Heta Payate Takovido. Talapyate Yadvamatam Upayada. Talapyate Dukava Anyato Sukham. Kalena Sarvatra Kabira Ramasa. Word for word translation. Tasya, for that purpose, eva, only, eto, reason, prayatita, should endeavor, govida, one who is philosophically inclined, talapyate, is not obtained, yat, what, pamatam, wandering, uparihada, from top to bottom, tat, that, lapyate, can be obtained, dukavat, like the miseries, anyata, as a result of previous work, sukha, sense enjoyment, kalena, in course of time, sarvatra, everywhere, kabira, subtle, ramasa, focus. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patal, as far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned. It can be obtained automatically in due course of time. Just as in due course of time, we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Purport. Every man everywhere is trying to obtain the greatest amount of sense enjoyment by various endeavors. Some men are busy engaged in trade, industry, economic development, political supremacy, etc. And some of them are engaged in fruitive work to become happy in the next life by attaining higher planets. It is said that on the moon the inhabitants are fit for greater sense enjoyment by drinking somaras, and the Pitri Loka is obtained by good charitable work. So there are various programs for sense enjoyment, either during this life or in the life after death. Some are trying to reach the moon or other planets by some mechanical arrangement, for they are very anxious to get into such planets without doing good work. But it is not to happen. By the law of the Supreme, different places are meant for different grades of living entities, of living beings, according to the work they have performed. By good work only, as prescribed duties in the scriptures, can one obtain birth in a good family, opulence, good education, and good bodily features. We see also that even in this life, one obtains a good education or money by good work. Similarly, in our next birth, we get such desirable positions only by good work. Otherwise, it would not so happen that two persons born in the same place and at the same time are seen differently placed according to previous work. But all such material positions are impermanent. The positions in the topmost planet, in the topmost Brahmaloka, and in the lower Patal are also changeable according to our own work. The philosophical inclined persons must not be tempted by such changeable positions. You should try to get into the permanent life of bliss and knowledge, where you will not be forced to come back again to the miserable material world, either in this or that planet. Miseries miseries and mixed happiness are two features of material life, and they are obtained in Brahmaloka and in other lokas also. They are obtained in the life of the demigods and in the life of the dogs and hogs. The miseries and mixed happiness of all living entities are only of different degrees and quality, but no one is free from the miseries of birth and death, old age and disease. Similarly, everyone has his destined happiness also. No one can get more or less of these things simply by personal endeavor. If they are obtained, they can be lost again. One should not therefore waste time with these flimsy things. One should only endeavor to go back to Godhead. This should be the mission of everyone's life. Read the verse once again. Taseva heto payate tako vido nalapyate atpamatam yupayata talapyate dukavanyatu sukan kalena sarve sarvatra gabi ramasa. Translation. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patal. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in due course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Om Ajnanatimannasya Janansa Shakya Sakshvanmitam Yena Tasmai Shikove Namah. Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutalistam Upakadhamyam Dadati Svapalantikam. Vandeham Shiyo Shiyuda Padakamanam Shiyom Vaishnavam Sam. Shilpam Jagajatam Saganaraganatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Sam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansna Garangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavana Sitadevi Pranamama Hari Priye Panka Kalpta Vishakhi Pasinda Vishabhatnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Ji Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadhika Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharini. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatani. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So, this is a very important verse in which Narada Muni is inspiring his disciple Srila Vyasadeva to focus on the essence that so one should seek that happiness which is not available, not in the highest or lowest planet in this universe, means transcendental happiness, the happiness of the soul, the happiness of the body, that's obtainable in this world, but it's all useless, this kind of happiness, because it's temporary. That it's explained in Nectar of Devotion. There is a difference between the happiness of the senses and the happiness of the soul. That happiness of the senses is chanchala, flickering. It's very temporary. And it's bhoga that sometimes enjoyment, very short, and then you have a very long time renunciation of enjoyment. Like people in this world go to work. It's Monday, yeah, it's Monday. Still a whole week. Tuesday, okay, 4 days to go. Wednesday, okay, we are midway. Thursday, there is some hope. Friday, they smile. And then there is the weekend. But the weekend goes so quick, it's Monday again. So it's flickering, the enjoyment. Enjoyment of eating a pizza, that how long does it take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then again, renunciation, that until the problem comes again, the hunger. So that is the happiness in this world. And what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, one who lives only for the pleasure of the senses lives in vain for nothing, giving the whole life attention to the body and not to the soul. But I remember during one of my first meetings with the devotees play the drama, and you have a cage with a bird inside. But the owner took only care of the cage and was not concerned with feeding the bird, and the bird was dying. It's like that. We take care of the cage of the body, the subtle and the gross body, and try to satisfy that. But we forget the soul, the real person within the body. That so this is an issue that, and that is also what Narada Muni will tell, because that's a little before in the previous verses, that because Srila Vyasadeva felt unsatisfied after writing all these Vedas, these Puranas, Itihasas, he felt unsatisfied in heart, and he was contemplating what's wrong, that why I'm not feeling satisfied. So it's very interesting that if people read the Vedas, will they feel satisfied? Srila Vyasadeva did not feel satisfied. Because Vedasa Sarvayam Eva Vedya, the purpose of the Vedas is to know Krishna. Therefore, when Srila Vyasadeva was contemplating in that way, then spiritual master suddenly appeared. And in the Bhagavatam here, there was no introduction, but because Narada knew the mind of his disciple and immediately chastised him. Are you only concerned with the body and the mind and the body? What with the soul? That a little further he will say again, the people in this world are so attracted to sense gratification, and you encourage them more in sense gratification by writing this karma kanda and so on. Of course, this karma kanda has a purpose, but it's a big part of the Vedic literature. He did not feel satisfied that because everything in this material world cannot satisfy us. It's not possible. Because the soul wants this loving relationship with Krishna. And that's not how, but we have forgotten. That's the only thing which will satisfy us. So yes, that the highest happiness, which is not to be found in this world, that the highest happiness, to attain that highest happiness, we have first to connect with our real self. People in this world are just disconnected with their from their real self. That they are connected with the body, but disconnected from their real self. That and Krishna consciousness and the Vedanta Sutra, the 4 books that and the first books explains we are Brahman. Who are we? Spiritual. And of course, it explains also the process to realize oneself, abhideya, which is engagement in devotional service. And the goal, prayojan, is love for Krishna. That is what the Vedas factually are meant for, to understand this. But this was not clear in all his writings, and also not in this Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra aphorism, very cryptic, very difficult to understand. Atata Brahma Sishnas. Now we have attained to human form of life. You should inquire about Brahman, about who you are. That Ambra Brahmasmi, you are spirit. And Janmadhyasya, you should understand that the cause of everything is spiritual. And but what is this cause? It's not clearly explained in Vedanta Sutta. It requires a commentary. And therefore, the natural commentary written on Vedanta Sutra is the Bhagavatam. And of course, the Vedanta Sutra says Janmadhyasya, the cause of everything. But then the Bhagavatam starts, Janmadhyasya yatam vatati taratis satis abhishyasvarate nibrahmaridaya adkavye muyantyatsu surya. It starts right from the beginning to defining this source of everything. The source of everything is independence, Varat. That Janmadhyasya yatam vayati taratis sartes abhishyasvarat. It's all, abhishya means all pervading, that and independent. And this knowledge was given in the beginning of creation to Brahma, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye. This knowledge which Brahma received to the heart, were the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavatam, which is explained in the second canto, chapter 9, text 33 till 36. starting with Am, Eva, Sam, Eva, Vajre, that, that, that this verse is explaining. In the beginning, Krishna says, there was only me. And then there was the creation, the maintenance, and then there is the destruction. And at the end, there is only me. So the creation comes from Krishna. Then in the next verse says, because everything comes from me, I'm everywhere, all pervading as the super soul in every atom. I'm everywhere. And one who does not see that I'm in every atom, that I'm everywhere, is in illusion. That's the definition of illusion that Krishna defines illusion there. And then there's like the fourth verse, the last verse, that explains the same thing as here. One should search for this absolute truth everywhere and in all spheres. Try to find it. That's the purpose of life, to understand Krishna. Because if we understand Krishna, then we can understand ourselves. Because in the second verse, Eteritam napatyata napatyata satmani. So it defines illusion as seeing things separate from the absolute, from Krishna. Seeing that's a separatist mentality. And that's our problem, the separatist mentality. Seeing things separate from Krishna. And by that, we started, how did this separatist mentality, how did we develop that separatist mentality? It started with forgetting Krishna. Then next step is we forget Krishna, and then we think, oh, we see everything in this universe. This is for my enjoyment. I want to enjoy it. And then the next illusion is that this is mine. This is for my enjoyment. Mine. First is false I. I'm the enjoyer, and then mine. But then, as a result of that, the next illusion is one suffers. Suffering is an illusion because the soul cannot suffer. The soul, because the consciousness of the soul is polluted by this mentality of enjoyment, I'm mine. By that pollution, that we start identifying with this body. That misidentification. And the suffering of the body is experienced in the mind. And we identify with the mind, so we're thinking it's our suffering. But and then finally, the final suffering is I'm going to die, but the soul does not die. That factually it's all illusory, but the illusory energy is so strong. Mama Maidrajya, Krishna says, it's very difficult to overcome this illusory energy unless you surrender to Krishna. So if we understand that sequence, first phase, forgetting Krishna, it's called tamas or ignorance. And then the next phase is I'm the enjoyer. That's called moha, illusion. And then we think that's for my enjoyment. That is called mahamoha. And then you have the fourth illusion. The fourth one is that tamisha, I'm suffering. And the fifth illusion is anda tamisha. I'm going to die. So these are five illusions. But how do we remove the illusions? The original cause is forgetting Krishna. So the solution is remember Krishna again. Man mana, think of me. That and that will, and if we remember Krishna, surely how do we remember Krishna? By hearing from the Bhagavatam, by hearing from the spiritual master. We hear about Krishna by reading Krishna book, that we get to know something about Krishna. Our first realization then is, oh, I'm not Krishna. I'm not the enjoyer. That I'm be supposed to engage in devotional service, not this I and mine. And that will give satisfaction, pleasure to the soul. So the pleasure of the soul is there when we connect with the spiritual energy, with Krishna's internal potency, the Mahamaya. Well, the internal potency, Ladini Shakti, that's the potency of Srimad Radharani. Therefore, Srimad Radharani is in the Maha Mantra that Hari, that if we connect again with Krishna, we become a Mahatma. Mahatma Stamapata Devim Pratyashiti. Connecting with Krishna, connecting our consciousness again with Krishna. And that is what we should strive for in our life, not the happiness, which is from the highest till the lowest planet. That because it's in the Vedas, Ananda Maya Vyasat. We are meant for Ananda, for enjoyment. The Vedas say, Ananda Maya Vyasat. But this is the spiritual enjoyment of the soul, which is there by connecting with Krishna. But people are wasting their time by giving by all their endeavors for sense enjoyment. When Prabhupada arrived in Los Angeles, I think he saw old men playing with balls, and Prabhupada became angry. He said, "Why are they wasting their time? That they should hear about Krishna, regain their original consciousness, blissful consciousness." But as we make spiritual advancements, we purify our heart. The more we purify our heart, how do we know our heart becomes purified? When we get taste for hearing, taste for chanting. Then the heart becomes purified. Krishna explains that in the Bhagavatam in the previous chapters. Susruso Shadadan Shyavastiv Katauchi Shyanat Sevayapipa Punyatirtani Shiva. If you hear, if you, Susruso Shadadanasya. Prabhupada translates Shadadanasya, Shraddha here, not as faith, but he says with care and attention. When one hears with care and attention Krishna Katha, Susvasho Shadadanasya Vasudev Katauchi, and Shyanmatse Vyavipapunya Tirthanishiva, so hearing about Krishna and serving the spiritual master. And that produces taste. That gives taste. If we do these two things, if someone does not feel satisfied in his devotional service, then ask, are you hearing sufficiently about Krishna? And are you engaged in the mission of the spiritual master? That combination gives taste. And when you get that taste and Krishna sees that, Shimvata Svagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtna Vidyanta Toya Bhadrani Vidunot Sritsitam. I from within the heart, I cleanse, enter the heart and cleanse it from all ignorance. And then the taste increases. Therefore, the taste increases means taste for Krishna, hearing about Krishna, serving Krishna, then actually we are in anartha nivritti. That's how you can judge that. But if we perform devotional service with a mixed motivation, we want both. Some sense enjoyment, we have still some desire, sometimes subtle, in the form of getting liberation or wanting get rid of distress that solve the problems of life. But problems of life cannot really solved. That is always something in this world that the real solution is get rid of birth, death, old age, and disease by performance of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada once spoke on the chanting of the holy name, and a man objected, well, what can your chanting do good for the world? What will it do to people? And Prabhupada, he very forcibly replied, this chanting saves you from birth, death, old age, and disease. That is the ultimate good, because people see the prayers, the immediate good, the sense gratification, but the shreyas, the ultimate good, they don't know that. Because people in Kali Yuga are Prayanal Payupasya Shabya Kalavasmin Shveshana Mandasamanda Matayo Mantabhaga Yupadata. People in Kali Yuga is 110 that are short-sighted. They don't short-sighted means they see only the moment of enjoying now. They don't know why they came in this situation and where they will go. They see only the moment. And they are lazy, especially in terms of self-realization. Not lazy in sense gratification. They are good in that way. Lazy in terms of self-realization. And upadruta, always disturbed in mind, that see more and more in this world, people will get psychological problems, cannot deal with things anymore, and they need help because the subtle body is so disturbed that you can't even chant. I've seen that many times. And this is increasing. That and now everyone has the prime guru, artificial intelligence. That artificial intelligence, you ask something, and it translates everything in the bodily concept of life. And people are not conscious of that. The Buddhas are not conscious of that. That it's quite dangerous. Quite dangerous, these things. But yeah, we have to know how to deal with it, otherwise we become victims of this. But anyway, the subject matter here is obtaining this happiness which is not attainable in this material world. But this depends on our consciousness. If we elevate our consciousness to the transcendental platform, Mamsya Vyabhicharina Bhakti-Yogana Sevita Sakatan Samadhinsyeta Pamabuya Kalpate. So one can at once transcend the modes of nature when one performs unalloyed devotional service. But the word unalloyed devotional service is very important. Krishna repeats it, Ananta Sintiyantamam, again, pure devotional service, 924. And then in 1155, Ananya Bhakti, pure devotional service, always pure devotional service. It's in in the teachings of Kapiladev, I think 3:29:8, I think, there in these verses, Lord Kapiladev speaks about performing devotional service in the modes of nature. If you perform devotional service with material motive, it's in the mode of nature. And it will then there will be not much purification of the heart. That if you want things in return, that so many things, I want to get rid of my suffering, that you are a sannyasi, so many people come to you for blessings. Yeah, that's also some businessman came for Srila Prabhupada asking for blessings, was on a train. And Prabhupada said, you don't know, you don't want my blessings. That you don't know what my blessings are. And he was pointing to one of these, to Tamal Krishna Maharaj sannyasi. That's the blessings I am giving. Mostly they disappear. They don't want that kind of blessings because then they lose their material desires and so on. That, but yes, this purity in devotional service, because Nectar of Devotion, it spends a whole chapter on the purity of devotional service. And we have so many definitions. Anyabhyasa Sunam Jnana Karnata Navatam Ankaliyana Krishna Nusilnam Bhakta Uttama. Rupa Goswami's definition. Pure devotional service is devotional service without any material, without material desires, without the desire for liberation, and it should be performed favorably, just to please Krishna. That and Narada Muni says the same. Sarva Padya Nirmuktam Tat Prat Nirmalam Rishikena Shefnam Bhakti Uttama. Pure devotional service is defined there of acting without upadis, without false ego, and just to please the transcendental senses of the Supreme Lord. And then the Bhagavatam also gives a definition. Shavai pumsa parodharmo yato bhaktirodaksyaha itkapatiyata yatma subhashidati. What gives great happiness to the Atma is performing one's occupational duty for all humans, the highest occupational duty, which is bhakti yoga, that's devotional service performed for adoxia, the one who is not perceivable by material senses. But such pure devotional service must have two qualities: ahaitika apatiyata, without material desires, and without interruption. And that's also an aspect. We perform devotional service. Everything we do should become devotional service. Therefore, that we have to learn from the spiritual master in the purpose of 1866. Prabhupada writes, one should learn to engage oneself in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. That is the message. That sometimes devotees while living in the temple say, I'm too busy, too much service. But that's good. No time for Maya, always service. That, of course, we must be balanced in what we do. That's another thing. So the process of Krishna consciousness is a process with stages which brings us to that point. And but essential, what's most essential in the process of devotional service is developing sambandha, knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. Therefore, we must hear the Bhagavatam that cultivates that right inner attitude which will lead us to anartha nivritti. The chanting and the reading must be combined. That's going together. That then, because if we come in this sambandha jnana, knowledge of our relationship with Krishna, and we realize we are a servant of Krishna, then we become a servant of the holy name. The chanting becomes a service rendered to the Supreme Lord. And we become in that consciousness. That is what Rupa Goswami says. The chanting is a service rendered with the tongue to please the Supreme Lord. Anyway, 9 o'clock. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu. Increasing enthusiasm, devotional service, utsaha, nisaya dayat, dat karma pravartanat. So these are 6 things to do, Rupa Goswami says, and the first is utsaha. I put it first. So it's important, utsaha, that I heard different answers on it, that but Prabhupada gives us the clue that we should associate with devotees who are enthusiastic. And like if one associates with people who have a disease which is contaminating, we will become contaminated by that disease. And we will become sick also. But if we associate with those who are enthusiastic, then that we will become enthusiastic also. And second thing is that we may not be enthusiastic, but try to act with enthusiasm. Jump up and down in the kirtan. and you will see that it will affect you. That try to do it. But enthusiasm comes also from hearing with attention. That if you hear with attention, you start to understand how these people, if I purify my heart, I will become more peaceful, I will become happy. I want that. And then you become enthusiastic. But mostly it is best is to live in association of devotees. But if you live outside, that's difficult. You associate with materialistic people, they drag your consciousness down. And therefore, we must have a good sadhana in the morning as protection that gives us the strength to stay away from it. So it's not so easy sometimes, but these points of regular association of devotees, that's very important. That's what I could say on it. Yes.
I took note here for the question, but now came to my mind question. It's more practical. So I was like reflecting now about this question, and like what I understand is that could be someone that is not enthusiastic just because wants to gratify the senses, engage in sensory.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And should be someone who is, even when is trying, is pushing, is not enthusiastic. So, and this second case could be related to aparat.
Yes.
So how like cure both cases?
Yeah, yes. Usually, apparat takes away your enthusiasm. That's right. That's one thing. Attachment to sense gratification, if it's high, then your spiritual life is low. So, but that's a process of purification. That so one who is a big materialist is not interested in devotion service. But we have the inclination for devotional service. Means we have been receptive, and mostly this receptivity is due to piety in previous life, did life, that showing some agyata, sukriti, or whatever. That and then you become interested. Interesting. If you are interested, that's already a kind of enthusiasm that we should become. But if by hearing about Krishna you become convinced, yes, this is this path of bhakti yoga will lead me to perfection. Then by that conviction supports your enthusiasm also. But of course, apparat takes away an enthusiasm. That's something else. That's and as long as this offensive mentality is in our heart and we make these offenses, we don't have big taste. So therefore, we cannot perform devotional service spontaneously. Therefore, we need to follow sadhana. And this sadhana, it helps us, it's mechanistic, but sadhana is the external, but the internal must follow. And Prahlad Nanwaraj explained it many times was followed. It's like a mother gives the child, the young girl, a play kitchen. And the little girl is imitating the mother with the play kitchen, making plastic chapati. So it's not real, but it's imitating. So sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is like that. Because we have only the external, the service, but the devotion is not yet there, because the heart is not pure. Therefore, it's not real in that sense. It's not real devotional service, but it's service. And because it's done under the instruction of the spiritual master, Krishna accepted as devotional service and purifies our heart. Tadami buddhi yogam, it purifies our heart. That is the process, but it's good to have the right inner attitude, and that comes from Sambandha Jnana. Then you pray to Krishna. Yes, I understand. I'm in this material world. I have not abided by your laws. Please forgive me. That I want to rectify myself. I want to again become a devotee. Please help me. Help me, because I understand now my real home is the spiritual world. I have my eternal family there, my friends. I want to go back to my home. So please forgive me and help me. So that's the inner attitude coming from hearing the Bhagavatam. That's called Sambandha Jnana. If one chants in that Sambandha Jnana, Haridas Thakur says in Harinam Chintamani, then if one chants with Sambandha Jnana, one is in Anartha Nivritti. The heart becomes purified. But anyway, good, thank you. Anything else? No. Good.
Related to get the purification and putting to the goals like this Krishna. I noticed that Prabhupada mentioned that it's like a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
Prabhupada say that slowly but surely you can get this goal. But in the classes of Govinda Swami Maharaj, he's not like putting like that. He's not. He's saying that just go in front of Mahaprabhu and cry, and you will get it. So how can we understand?
Yeah, then.
Could we say that Maharaj is Govinda Swami Maharaj is speaking to like more advanced devotees, or how can we understand these two
No, it's the same principle. You go before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you pray for his mercy, and you will get it. But you get first the seed, and you have to develop it until you come to Krishna Prema. It's not like an electric charge. No, you have to go to the process and purify your heart. That's a great thing. Mahaprabhu gives you Krishna Prema, but it means you go to the process. You cannot jump to the highest perfection at once. But it depends on your realization. If you are situated in Sambandha, then you can cry sincerely to Lord Chaitanya. And then you will advance very quickly. But first you have to learn to cry. That it's not just our crying in this material world. It is crying out of the knowledge who you are and what your destination is. That Krishna reciprocates with your desire. If you are not situated in Sambandha Gyan, you don't have the right desire. But, yeah. Of course, Govinda Maharaj was a very elevated soul. But you have to hear all his teachings because he's quite strict with his disciples and chastise constantly practice to get to the right consciousness, to do the right thing internally. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Shantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.